Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this council meeting of the 21st of November 2023, which is being held here in person in the council chamber at the Civic Centre, Ferris Boulevard, South Morang, and it's also being live streamed. I'm Lydia Wilson, Chair of Council, and I'd also like to introduce my panel colleagues. Firstly, Peter Duncan.
Good evening, everybody.
And Administrator Christian Zara.
Good evening, everyone.
And I'd now like to introduce our Chief Executive Officer, Craig Lloyd, and ask that he also introduces the other members of the executive leadership team in attendance.
Thank you, Chair, and good evening, everyone. So I'd like to introduce Emma Appleton, our Director of Planning and Development, Agata Himalevsky, Director of Community Wellbeing, Sarah Renner, Director of Corporate and Customer Services, Debbie Wood, Director of Infrastructure and Environment, Frank Joyce, Executive Manager, Strategy and Insights, Janine Morgan, Executive Manager of Public Affairs, and at the table here, Jacinta Stevens, Executive Manager, Office of Council and CEO. Thank you.
Thank you. On behalf of Council, I recognise the rich Aboriginal heritage of this country and acknowledge the Wurundjeri Willem clan and Tongarong people as the traditional owners of lands within the city of Whittlesea, and I'd also like to personally acknowledge elders past, present and emerging. And I'd now like to read our diversity and good governance statement. At the City of Whittlesea, we are proud of our diversity and the many cultures, faiths and beliefs that make up our community. We strive to be an inclusive, welcoming city that fosters active participation, well-being and connection to each other and this land. We commit as a council to making informed decisions to benefit the people of the City of Whittlesea now and into the future, to support our community's vision of a place for all. We have a number of acknowledgements this evening, and I'd like to start by acknowledging the Whittlesea Show. I wanted to congratulate the Whittlesea Agricultural Society on another very successful Whittlesea Show, which was held earlier this month. In fact, it was the 164th show that they have held. The City of Whittlesea is really proud to be a major sponsor of what is a really wonderful community tradition that not only attracts locals but people from far and wide. And they provide family-friendly activities and events. There was something at the show for everyone that was held over the full weekend. I'd also like to acknowledge the passing of Jim Clements. I was personally very saddened to hear of the passing of Jim Clements, who was a past president and life member of the Whittlesea Agricultural Society, and he had made a very significant contribution to the Society for 77 years. And on behalf of Council, we send our heartfelt condolences to Jim's family, friends and members of the Whittlesea Agricultural Society. And finally, I would just like to acknowledge our community members for the Keep Australia Beautiful Awards. We'd like to particularly extend congratulations to local students, Hansika and Tanya Sharma, who were both finalists in the Youth Legend Cities category of the Keep Australia Beautiful Victoria Awards, with Tanya winning the award for her No Buts About It campaign, a really amazing achievement. The Sharma family are all true environmentalists and really fantastic community leaders. Tanya rallied locals to create a petition which was tabled here at Council at the September 2022 meeting, requesting the installation of more cigarette butt bins across the municipality. And as a result of her campaigning, Council installed new bins at a range of key locations, including a number of shopping centres within the municipality. Both Hansika and Tanya were recipients of our 2022 City of Whittlesea Community Awards in the Young Citizen and Sustainable Citizen of the Year categories, respectively. On behalf of Council, we formally congratulate the Sharmas and acknowledge their family for the work that they have undertaken in relation to environmental sustainability. If I could now hand over to Administrator Duncan for a few further acknowledgements.
Thank you, Chair. Earlier today, it was my great pleasure to join with fellow administrators and as well as a number of leaders and local Aboriginal community and City of Whittlesea staff, of course, in turning the first sod on the Aboriginal gathering place at Quarry Hills Regional Parkland. An Aboriginal gathering place has been a long-held goal of Council, the Whittlesea Reconciliation Group and the Whittlesea Aboriginal Gathering Place Advisory Board, and it's absolutely fantastic to see this vision start to become a reality. Construction is expected to begin in early to mid-2024 with a view to opening the gathering place in 2025. I'd just like to congratulate everyone who has had a role in getting the Aboriginal Gathering Place project to this point, and it's taken some 21 years, but we're finally here. And just thank you to all the staff at the City of Whittlesea as well who've worked tirelessly on this project. I've just got one more. Thank you, Chair. 16 Days of Activism commences this Saturday. It's the International Day to Stop Violence Against Women and the beginning of the 16-Day of Activism Against Gender-Based Violence campaign, which will run until the 10th of December, which is Human Rights Day, so it's fitting to end on that day. The 16 Days of Activism is a global campaign to end violence against women and girls. Violence against women is preventable, and in the City of Whittlesea, we are committed to creating a future where all women are safe, equal and respected. And there's more information about the campaign at the Whittlesea website, whittlesea.vic.gov.au/gender equity. So I encourage people to have a look at that and support this campaign this year. That's it. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Administrator Duncan. And if I could now hand over to Administrator Zara.
Thank you, Chair. Just a couple from me. Firstly, congratulations to the three Whittlesea U3A walking football teams that recently participated in the Australian Masters Games in Adelaide, and to their women's team who managed to bring home a bronze medal from the event. Thanks to all the volunteers who supported the team to attend. Walking football is a fantastic program the City of Whittlesea is proud to support, helping to keep those aged over 50 who love the game to keep playing it as they get older. Quick update on the Youth Council. I'm pleased to report that we have received a total of 58 applications for the Youth Council from a very diverse range of applicants with ages ranging from 12 to 21. It's great to see applications coming in from every local area of the municipality. Applicants have been shortlisted and interviews will take place in the coming weeks, and no doubt we'll have more to say about that shortly after they've been completed. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Administrator Zara. I formally note that all administrators are present this evening. Administrators, if you have a conflict of interest in any item on the notice paper, you may verbally disclose the type and nature of the interest now, but you must make a declaration immediately before consideration of the matter in question. Are there any items for which you have a conflict of interest to declare?
No, Chair.
No, Chair.
And I also have no conflict of interest to declare. I seek a motion to confirm the minutes of the following preceding meetings: the scheduled meeting of Council and confidential meeting of Council held on the 17th of October 2023. Could I have a mover, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Administrator Zara. And a seconder?
Seconded, Chair.
Thank you, Administrator Duncan. I'll now put the matter to a vote. All those in favour of confirming the minutes? Thank you. We have no public questions this evening. We also have no petitions or joint letters that have been received by Council. So we'll now move on to general business and work through the agenda with item 5.1, Community Local Law 2024, and if I could invite Emma Appleton, our Director of Planning and Development, to introduce this item. Thank you, Emma.
Thank you, and through you, Chair. We're presenting the City of Whittlesea Community Local Law 2024 this evening, seeking your endorsement. The local law is designed to keep people safe, protect the natural environment and improve access and enjoyment of public places. It complements state and federal laws and aims to strike the right balance between personal freedom and community responsibility to help people live harmoniously in their local communities. I'll hand over to Andrew Mason now, Manager, Emergency Management and Regulatory Programs, to explain how we've developed the local law and key changes from the current local law.
Thank you.
Thank you. In late 2022, Council commenced a review of the local law, and this year we facilitated 2 rounds of community consultation that saw 2,164 individual participants provide feedback. We further undertook benchmarking and consideration of many other council local laws. We received great feedback from the community. The new local law has been simplified to make it easier for residents to read and understand, and has been written in a community-friendly language. Some of the key differences of the community local law include allowing the use of recreational fire pits, providing that they don't cause a nuisance to others, restriction of long-term parking of trailers, caravans and boats on council land and local roads. And other changes to the law will enable council to respond to community concerns such as the prevention of illegal dumping, managing of derelict buildings, dilapidated buildings, and the strengthening of dog attack laws as well. Following this extensive review and development process, the community local law has been prepared. The new law is proposed to take effect from the 1st of July 2024, and I'll propose the recommendations as outlined in the report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Administrators, do you have any questions in relation to this item?
I don't have any questions. Thank you, Chair.
No thanks, Chair. I'm good, thank you.
I also have no questions, so I'm seeking a mover and a seconder for this item.
Happy to move that, Chair.
Thank you, Administrator Duncan. And
Happy to second it and reserve my right to speak. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Administrator Zara. Administrator Duncan.
Thank you, Chair. I just think this is a great piece of work, and Andrew, you've already touched on the fact that it's written in a community-friendly way, and I just think it's fantastic that we had such a good engagement from the community. So we're absolutely listening to what they've had to say, and we're in step with addressing some of the issues that may have been, but also improving things for the community. It's a great document, and I'm sure that it's easy to read and understand, which we've just talked about, but it's been quite a big portion of work to do. So just congratulations to you and the team on what's a really great outcome for community and for council as well. Well done.
Thank you, Administrator Duncan. Administrator Zara.
Thank you, Chair. And can I endorse comments from Administrator Duncan about the great work which has been done here by our team. I just want to draw attention to a couple of things that are in the report, in the papers, which I think should be particularly, I think, in the minds of people in considering this today, and that is a bit of detail about just how much consultation has taken place here. So, as our officers mentioned earlier, Chair, there's been 2,164 individual participants who provided feedback, which is a staggeringly high number for any community engagement process. I just want to drill down just one level below that, though, because I think it is noteworthy. There's 644 online surveys, 1,509 in-person conversations, at 45 community pop-up events and 11 email submissions to council, and a further 300 plus people attended our community-based sessions and received information, but didn't elect to provide a contribution beyond that information had been provided. That really is, I think, the gold standard in terms of community engagement, a very comprehensive process that has not been rushed. And I think that's how you get things right. And I really want to applaud the work of our team, who've so comprehensively gone about, I think, a process which has had many different stages, many different elements, and given everyone a chance to have a fair say. So it's a real pleasure, I think, for us to endorse this today, recognising how much work has been done by our team, but also applauding and celebrating the contribution from our community, who through every one of their contributions has made this community local law even better.
Thank you. Right on 1 second, Administrator Zara. Very well done. I would also just like to make a couple of comments, and I totally echo all of the sentiments of my colleagues in relation to what a superb community consultation process it's been, both for phase 1 and for phase 2, and the fact that the final community local law really picks up on a number of incredibly important issues for our residents. Things such as animal management, dump rubbish, vehicles and roads and so forth. So I think we've really listened and heard, and Administrator Zara really talked to the extent of the community consultation that's occurred. There was mention by Administrator Duncan about how readable the document is. It really is a superb, plain English, easy to navigate, very readable and easy to understand document. And the final thing I just wanted to comment on is again to commend our staff that it's not to take effect until 1st of July 2024. So we've got a really lengthy period of time that we can ensure our community is well aware of what the new inclusions in the community local law are, and we can go through that really good public education process. So congratulations to, and I know a number of staff are in attendance this evening, for the wonderful work that's occurred with our community local law. And I'll now put that motion to a vote. All those in favour? The motion is carried. Thank you. Item 5.2, Quarterly Corporate Performance Report, Quarter 1, ended the 30th of September 2023. And if I could invite our Director of Customer and Corporate Services, Sarah Renner, to provide an introduction to this item.
Thank you, Chair. And through the Chair, I would like to invite Aaron, our Chief Financial Officer, to provide Council with some highlights of the quarterly report.
Thank you and good evening, everyone. The purpose of the report is to present to Council the Quarterly Corporate Performance Report for the period ended 30th September 2023, which covers the Community Plan Action Plan, good governance, capital works performance and financial performance. Starting from a Community Plan Action Plan perspective, out of 56 key actions to be delivered this financial year, 3 actions have been completed, 52 are reported on track and 1 action reported to monitor, with further details included in the report. From a capital works perspective, as at 30th of September 2023, the year-to-date capital works expenditure was $1.1 million ahead of the budget. This was largely driven by roadworks progressing ahead of schedule. From a financial performance perspective, Council's operating surplus was $6.1 million favourable to the year-to-date budget. This was largely driven by receiving higher than anticipated monetary contributions from developers as a result of continued growth. The outcome for the Quarter 1 forecast review is anticipating an operating surplus of $130.1 million, which is $2 million favourable to the adopted budget. I'd like to highlight Council's operating surplus is impacted early in the year by the timing of rate revenue being reported. It is also important to note that this is an accounting result only and is calculated to comply with the requirements of Australian accounting standards and importantly does not constitute excess cash available for Council to spend. This is due to the fact that Council's surplus is largely made up of either non-cash items such as asset contributions from developers or cash items that are restricted by legislation in how Council can spend in the future. I propose the recommendations as outlined in the report. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Aaron. Administrators, do you have any questions relating to this item?
I don't, Chair. Thank you.
No, thanks, Chair.
I wonder if I could just ask a couple of questions. And my first question relates to rate collection trends. I wonder if you can just comment a bit more about what we're seeing in relation to those trends that might give us a bit of further insight regarding the impacts of what we know is the current dire economic situation in our community. And we know that mortgage stress is a real issue for our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I'll ask our Chief Financial Officer to speak on this point, and then I will add an update on the next reporting period and some further insights we'd like to add.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Chair. So, because with the rates notice we had to update the layout of the rates notice, so it was actually delayed from being sent out, and that's why you'll see in the report the collection was not as much as 12 months prior, but October was a historic month because it was the greatest collection that we've received for rates. It was significantly higher from the same time 12 months ago. So because of the delay in getting the rates notice out, that was the main reason for the collection not being as high. So we have seen an uptake and getting closer to the amount that we need to be at.
Thank you, and I will add further to that with regard to financial hardship. So we are seeing a slight increase in financial hardship within our community, given the current fiscal situation. More importantly, I think we are seeing a higher uptake of payment plans, and so that's where we offer our community the ability to pay on a more regular basis rather than once or twice a year. We propose that we will provide further information in the quarterly reports commencing next quarter, so Council can see that breakdown.
Thank you. I think that would be very useful going forward. Thank you. And just my second question is the officer recommendation also, part 3, relates to approval for the establishment of 2 new reserves, the plant replacement reserve and the community grant reserve. My question really is, historically, have we not had a plant replacement reserve? And I presume really the community grant reserve is in response to the fact that we've got a new grant program that we're currently implementing.
Yes, thank you, Chair. And we do have an update on the community grants within the next paper. With a review of that grants program, we did see we were behind on giving out those community grants, but I will let our Chief Financial Officer speak to the detail.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Chair. So in relation to the plant replacement reserve, no, we did not have that reserve previously. We have created it to ensure that Council has the adequate funds to be able to replace the required plant that we needed to, especially our fleet. With the community grants reserve, that is to ensure, again, we have the funding to be able to provide grants to our community. Yes, we've got a really impressive grant program that Asad will be talking to next, but it's again, if we don't use all the funds, we'll be able to allocate it to a reserve to then be able to distribute it out in future years.
Okay. Thank you. Administrators, you have no further questions? No. Could I then seek a mover for the officer recommendation for item 5.2?
Happy to move that, Chair.
Thank you, Administrator Duncan. And a seconder?
A seconder, I reserve my right to speak. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Administrator Zara. Administrator Duncan.
Thank you, Chair. I don't have much to say, so I'll hand over to Administrator Zara in a moment. Obviously, first quarter, so well done on the report. And again, plain English, which we love here, so fantastic. And I think with regards to having these reserves, that's a great initiative to make sure we actually expend the money back into the community. So that's about it from me, but well done to all.
Thank you, Administrator Duncan. Administrator Zara.
Thank you, Chair, and I endorse those comments from Administrator Duncan about the great common sense in having these reserves set up in the way that we are now doing. That will be, I think, in the years to come seen as something that was a real positive in setting up a slightly different way of thinking about what we do in those two critical areas. I just want to talk just briefly, Chair, about how important this report is in general governance terms. This is an important way in which we as the Council and our team provide accountability to what we're doing. And I really want to pick up on a point made by Administrator Duncan about the plain language which is used throughout and the very clear graphics used throughout the report. So just as an example, if people are interested who might be watching this at home tonight, Chair, they could go to the section on the Community Plan Action Plan. They could read that out of the 56 key actions, they could see that 3 actions are reported as completed, 52 are on track, and 1 is reported as monitor. And if they were so minded, Chair, they could look up more detail, including on the one which is listed as monitor. And that's public accountability, and that's good governance. It helps us do our job better, knowing that there is that great sunlight shown on, beamed into everything we do. But also, we are here to serve the community, ratepayers and local residents. And it's important we provide accountability back to them in everything we do. This is, I think, an excellent example of how we deliver on that. Well done.
Thank you, Administrator Zara. And I think, Administrator Zara, you hit on a really key point that the Audit and Risk Committee had noted, which was that this is an integrated report where we're reporting on all those aspects: community plan, financials and capital, all in one report. I'll now put that motion to a vote. All those in favour? The motion is carried. Thank you. We move on now to item 5.3, which is the Community Grants Quarterly Update. And again, if I could invite our Director of Customer and Corporate Services to introduce this item.
After a significant revamp and the centralisation of our grants program over the last year and a significant further investment in our community grants program, Assad, our manager, EPMO and Change, will take Council through a brief introduction of the first quarterly update.
Thank you.
Thank you and good evening, everyone. Our new grants program went live in August with a new framework and guidelines. As part of the new framework, a quarterly reporting process outlining successful applications, new grant programs and an overview of signed funding agreements was introduced. For Q1, we ran a food relief program and gave out funding to organisations to provide food hampers in the city of Whittlesea. The food relief program provided financial support to organisations as they help people in need, especially in these tough economic times. For the grant program, we had 24 applications and 14 organisations were approved for funding. 10 organisations were unfortunately unsuccessful in their applications due to reasons outlined in the attachment. We are working with the community to provide grant writing workshops to further help organisations in the application process. We are also creating awareness strategies to help increase the number of grant applications we receive. Lastly, we have signed 3 organisations up to funding agreements in Q1 as per the details provided in the attachment. This ensures our continued support for groups that help us to deliver on our 2040 vision. Overall, the first quarter of the grants program has enabled us to support a number of organisations in their mission to help the community. We are working on increasing awareness of the grants program and assisting community groups to better understand the application process. Consequently, we are looking forward to widening our span of support as much as possible. Thank you. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much. Administrators, any questions in relation to this item? Administrator Zara.
Thanks. Just through you, Chair. Thank you for the report to our team, which is very welcome. This is a big change to the Community Grants program. Can you give us, for those people tuning in, a bit of a sense of when those applicants who've been successful will likely find out the details and be communicated with formally by officers?
Yep, sure. So we have communicated to a number of groups that are already successful, and the ones that are unsuccessful, we are providing a bit more personal support so they understand the application process and also what's required in future to come back in for the applications.
Just another question, if I could, Chair. Thank you for your answer. In terms of those that you've been able to talk to who perhaps were unsuccessful, it'd be useful for the council to get a sense of, I guess, you gave us a bit of a sense of the types of things that you're planning on doing in the future. It sounds like there's a lot of goodwill towards the new grant scheme and wanting to participate in future rounds. Would that be a fair description of some of the feedback that you've had from the people who were unsuccessful, and you've had to point out in some cases the reasons why? Is there still strong interest and strong support for the program?
Yes, absolutely. What I can say, it's a transition process, so at the moment we are introducing robust governance into the process as well. But I think explaining to community groups why they have been unsuccessful is a major attribute and element of what the feedback that we're providing them. I think it's crucial to understand that there are a couple of elements, for example, acquittals and not providing quotes, which are basic things that can be fixed very, very quickly, and therefore we are encouraging those groups to come back in the next round of applications.
That's great. No other questions from me, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Administrator Duncan.
Yes, Chair, I've just got a follow-on question from Administrator Zara's questions. So obviously we've got this new robust framework in place, which seems to be going quite well with community, and obviously council offering extra support to those that first time round their application has not been successful. On that basis, because you're then offering a personalised service and helping those organisations, do you expect that the next update we get, there will be far more grants that have been acquitted?
Yes, we do. Yeah, so we are working with organisations to go through that acquittal type of project and make sure that the grants that they want to come in for future, they've already acquitted the grants of the past.
And I've just got a follow-up question. And I presume as we go through this process of awarding grants to community, we're also keeping a sort of a pulse check on what the grants are for to track trends and the sort of sentiment in the community. So at the moment it might be food banks, things like that, and we're obviously coming into the festive season. So if the economy shifts again, I presume that you're tracking that those grants will then shift into perhaps another area.
Yes, we are tracking it. So our centralised process and also all the applications through our software system, Smarty Grants, enables us to track the type of funding that we're giving out and what the funding is being used for. I think just on that point, for me to explain quite importantly that the data we are collecting is also helping us to inform our strategy around outreach programs as well. So we want to be able to widen the net as much as possible, help as many community groups as possible, and also be able to direct funding to where it is. So just like you've described, if the market changes and funding programs need to be done to be able to target certain areas or certain different type of projects, we've got the ability to do so once we've collected that data.
Thank you, administrators. I'm looking for a mover and seconder for the officer recommendation for item 5.3.
Happy to move it, Chair.
Thank you, Administrator Zara.
Delighted to second it, Chair.
Thank you, Administrator Duncan. Administrator Zara.
Thank you, Chair. We're all enthusiastic supporters of the Community Grant Scheme and its updated and improved form, and it's a delight for all of us, I think, to see this first round come through and see the significant improvements. One of the things that I was really delighted to hear, Chair, is the way in which we take the time and effort and care to provide that sort of one-on-one service and feedback to people. So not just the good news to people who've secured grants, but to those people who might have missed out, to take the time and effort and care with them to explain what was maybe not quite right, or what they need to do to remedy that situation so they can be active participants in the next rounds. And I've run a few community grants programs, or in fact larger scale programs over the years. One of the greatest criticisms, Chair, as you'd probably know from other work too, is that people never get feedback. They just get the answer, and the answer says no, and that's it. And so they aren't able to make the changes necessary to be successful in the future. So I really commend our team for, I think in many ways you have to have courage to provide candid feedback, but that candour is really of huge benefit to the applicants. So I really applaud the way we're doing that. It'll make the community grant scheme better and better because we'll keep on receiving feedback from those people who are participants in it. And it'll mean that we have, most importantly, as broad and as a diverse a group of people, or community groups, who feel as though this community grants program is actually there for them. And that's one of the great challenges in these types of programs. You can end up, Chair, with a group of people who are just excellent at always securing grants from community grant schemes, and everyone else feels as though it's not for them. So I really feel as though our team have done a great job, and I really want to take this public opportunity to commend them for it. Well done.
Thank you, Administrator Zara. Administrator Duncan?
I think Administrator Zara's summed it up perfectly. I just would like to add that I think it's a great opportunity through this process, as we've discussed before, to be able to track what are the common pressure points in the community, and then to be able to, as you said, broaden our reach once, if that shifts or there's more need or those things. I think that's a great opportunity for Council to really support the community, so you should be commended on that. And it's good foresight to be able to track that so we know what's happening. So well done to everyone.
Thank you, Administrator Duncan. And I'd like to just make one further comment of commendation and to note that this is the first time that we're publicly reporting in relation to our community grants programs. But what I particularly love is the fact that the Council has set the policy, but we're at arm's length in relation to the specific decisions and recommendations on individual grants. So we don't have that direct involvement. We're in fact just noting this evening the allocation of those funds, which is by far best practice. So I also pass on my congratulations to our staff for all the work that's occurred. Thank you. I'll now put that motion to a vote. All those in favour? The motion is carried. Item 5.4, endorsement of the Marambaba Mary Creek Regional Parklands Future Directions Plan. And if I could invite Director of Infrastructure and Environment, Debbie Wood, to introduce this item. Thank you, Debbie.
Thank you, Chair. Another really exciting project that we're bringing to you tonight, and we're just one of 7 partners in this project as well, so I just want to note that. But I have Tim here with me, the Unit Manager of Conservation Management, who will just talk us through the report and the recommendations. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. The purpose of this report is to seek endorsement for the Marambaba Mary Creek Regional Parklands Future Directions Plan. The Marambaba Future Directions Plan provides strategic direction for the future regional park along the Mary Creek. The proposed parkland extends over 2,778 hectares from the Western Ring Road in Thomastown to Bald Hill in Beveridge. The creation of the Marambaba Regional Park was a 2018 election commitment by the Victorian State Government and will become Melbourne's second largest regional park. This project was delivered under the Suburban Parks Program by the Department of Environment, Energy and Climate Action. Community consultation on the plan was led by DECA in July 2022 and again in April 2023. Overall, the feedback demonstrated a high level of support for the project. The Future Directions Plan has been supported with a $1 million investment from DECA in park works and infrastructure, including trails, interpretive signage and opportunities for traditional owner engagement. The City of Whittlesea is one of the stakeholders involved in the project control group and working groups, along with Wurundjeri, Hume City Council, Mitchell Shire, Melbourne Water, Yarra Valley Water, Mary Creek Management Committee and Parks Victoria. The plan establishes a common vision and guiding principles for the regional park and provides directions, actions for a more consistent approach by all stakeholders participating in co-management. DECA is now seeking endorsement from all stakeholder organisations prior to finalising the Marambubba Future Directions Plan. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Administrators, do you have any questions relating to this item?
I don't have any questions, thank you.
Me either, Chair.
I've just got one question which relates to Officer Recommendation 3, which is that we write to stakeholders involved in the Marambubba Mary Creek Parklands Future Directions. You've both indicated that we're one of 7 parties to sign off on the Future Directions Plan. Can you just clarify the intent of writing to stakeholders? Are they the other 6 partners? And what is it that we would be writing to them about?
I believe that the intent is to just communicate a consistent approach in future years and congratulate them on that collective effort that has gone into date with this plan since the working group has really put in that collective effort since 2019.
So are we writing to the 6 other signatories to the Future Directions Plan?
Correct.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Any other questions, administrators? Do I then have a mover for the officer recommendation for item 5.4?
I'm happy to move it, Chair.
Thank you, Administrator Zara. And a seconder?
Yes, Chair.
Thank you, Administrator Duncan. Administrator Zara.
Thank you, Chair. This is such a delight to support this, and well done to our team in their collaboration with others to produce what I think is a result to be proud of. So well done to all the people that have been involved. I know it's probably a large number of people over quite a period of time. I was just reflecting ahead of our meeting today, Chair, that we talk a lot in public office, we talk a lot about collaboration, and we talk a lot about working with First Nations people and groups. Oftentimes, that's all that seems to happen. But in this case, what we've got in front of us is actually something to be really proud of, because it is a fantastic example of collaboration amongst many stakeholders, including our partners in local government right across this important region. But it really brings to life the aspiration of what I think collectively we all want to see and achieve with First Nations people and First Nations groups. So I'm very, very confident that in a year, in 5 years and in 10 years, this will be something that every single person who's been involved in bringing us to this point will be very, very proud of. And I'm looking forward to seeing all of the magnificent and good things that are going to come from this work. So well done.
Thank you, Administrator Zara. Administrator Duncan.
I think Administrator Zara has just wrapped that up beautifully, so nothing but well done.
I would echo those comments. So I'll now put that motion to a vote. All those in favour? The motion is carried. Thank you again. Item 5.5, Nick Accenzo Reserve Master Plan. And again, if I could invite our Director of Infrastructure and Environment to introduce this item.
Thank you, Chair. Another exciting project just like to keep saying that. But it's like one of it, as you know, we've got a lot of reserves, and when we've got the opportunity to give a master plan and see how we can update these reserves, it's really important for our community. But I have Andrew here, our coordinator of open space planning, who will just take us through the report and the recommendations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie, and thank you, Chair. Recommended for endorsement tonight is the Nicochenza Reserve Master Plan. Nicochenza Reserve is a major open space in Thomastown. It is the largest informal recreation reserve in Thomastown Lalor without organised sport. The development of the master plan was an action identified in the open space strategy and advocated by the Alexander Avenue Enhancement Group. The master plan has been greatly influenced by the broader community through 2 rounds of engagement and has received an overwhelming 84% of support. A total of 268 visitors engaged the project's online page, with 47 community members providing specific feedback on the draft master plan. And the draft master plan is now the Nicochenza Reserve Master Plan, provides the City of Whittlesea with a clear vision and action prioritisation for future development and maintenance. The vision for the Nicochenza Reserve Master Plan is an inclusive open space that provides a range of informal recreation and social opportunities for the community to enjoy and connect. The key themes of the visions are versatile recreational spaces, diverse play experiences, fitness and exercise opportunities, better parking facilities, enhanced safety and greater accessibility. The master plan reflects community feedback and insights collected through workshops and conversations with the Alexander Avenue traders, Thomastown East Primary School, community activity centre users, patrons to the shop and the broader community. Officers recommend Council endorse the Nicochenza Reserve Master Plan and thank all those in the community for their contributions to developing the master plan.
Thank you very much. Administrators, do you have any questions relating to this item?
No, I don't. Thank you, Chair.
Andrew, I do have one, or Debbie, and it's just that I noted within some of the supporting material that there's about 11% of respondents who didn't like the master plan. Can you comment any specific reasons, or was it sort of all over the place in relation to their reasons?
There was a few, it kind of was all over the place. You have the usual things of we're not providing enough, and I think the issue with this reserve in particular was, well, that it is under a power easement, and so there's a lot of restrictions on what we can and can't do within that space itself. So the perception was that we weren't providing enough in that central lawn area, and also not providing enough shade and shelter when in fact we couldn't actually put trees there, we can't put shade structures there.
Yeah, so it's not really that they don't support what we're doing, but perhaps thought that there could be more undertaken at the reserve.
Correct.
Thank you. Any other questions, administrators? Do I then have a mover and a seconder for the officer recommendation for item 5.5?
Happy to move this, Chair.
Thank you, Administrator Duncan.
Happy to second it.
Thank you, Administrator Zara. Administrator Duncan?
Thank you, Chair. I think we've seen versions of this over a period of time, so I won't bang on too long about it, but I think this is a great outcome for community, and the fact that we've reflected their feedback back to them, given we have some restrictions, I think is just a fantastic outcome. So I'd just like to also thank all the community that did come forward and put their view forward, and particularly to the team at Whittlesea as well for listening and actually incorporating that feedback where we could. So well done, Debbie and Andrew, and to all the team being involved in this. It's a great outcome.
Thank you. Administrator Zara?
Thank you, Chair. This is great work by our team in engaging with the community and coming up with something which I think is comprehensive for this location. It is an important location in Thomastown. It is an important community asset, and it is important that we do everything we possibly can to make it something of real value within that community. So this gives us a very, I think, detailed way forward in terms of what should be fitted into that reserve and what would deliver the most benefit to the local community. and I'm sure that there'll be consideration in the capital budgets in the years ahead for putting in place those different elements that have been identified and I think very broadly endorsed by the community through this engagement work that our team have done. So well done to our team and through you, Chair, to quite a large number of people, many hundreds of people who participated in this process. Our sincere thanks to them for contributing to a process which is all the better for their involvement in it.
Thank you, Administrator Zara. I'd just like to make a couple of comments as well, but I totally echo the comments of my colleagues about this is very exciting. It's fantastic work and, again, such great community consultation. It is so important for Thomastown residents, and I think the report makes it very clear that the population in that area is 20,000 plus residents, and this really is essentially the most important reserve within Thomastown. I'd like to formally thank all of our officers for the work that they've done in developing the master plan and the consultation with key stakeholders. Having been down to the reserve on a couple of occasions, some of the recommendations definitely address some of the safety issues, the lack of shade. The reserve does look very tired, and very much like Administrator Zara, I'm hoping that in future capital expenditure programs there'll be reflection for the redevelopment of the reserve over the 5 to 10 years with the funding to see the implementation. So congratulations. I feel really optimistic that the master plan will go a long way to addressing some of the issues at Nicocenzo. So I'll put that motion to a vote. All those in favour? The motion is carried. Thank you. Item 5.6, Council meetings scheduled for 2024. And if I could invite our Executive Manager of Office of Council and CEO to introduce this item. Thank you.
Thank you, and through you, Chair. Council's governance rules allows for Council from time to time to fix the date, the time and the place for scheduled Council meetings. This report is seeking Council endorsement for scheduled Council meeting dates between January 2024 through to the end of June 2025, as outlined under the Officer recommendation. It is proposed the Council meetings will continue to commence at 6:30 p.m. and be held at Council's Civic Centre here in South Morang. It should also be noted that due to the October 2024 general election, there will be no scheduled Council meetings in September or October 2024. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Administrators, do you have any questions relating to this item? I also have no questions. So do I have a mover and seconder for the Officer recommendation for item 5.6?
I'm happy to move it, Chair.
Thank you, Administrator Zara.
Seconded, Chair.
Thank you, Administrator Duncan. Administrator Zara, would you like to speak to the item?
I'll be brief, Chair. This is largely administrative, of course, in setting the meeting schedule for next year and into the subsequent one, but it's worth just mentioning again that this is a part of our own public accountability in flagging to the community through this meeting of Council, an open meeting of Council, what the schedule is so that people can be informed about it and can participate fully in that schedule and organise themselves around it too. So, Chair, this is an important part of the democratic process that we're embracing, and as was mentioned before in the officer's remarks, we also are very much looking forward to an election process late next year, which will see councillors returned to the city of Whittlesea, and we've made appropriate accommodation for that in the schedule.
Thank you, Administrator Zara. Administrator Duncan?
No, Chair.
I'll now put that motion to a vote. All those in favour? The motion is carried. If we now move to item 5.7, Councillor Gift Policy, and again, if I could ask our Executive Manager, Office of Council and CEO to introduce this item.
Thank you, and through you, Chair. This report seeks council endorsement of the councillor gift policy that's been developed in accordance with Section 138 of the Local Government Act, and it's been prepared in preparation for the return of the elected councillors. The policy takes into consideration the gift test, which is giver, influence, favour and trust, and host test, which is hospitality, objective, spend and trust. Both tests were developed by the Victorian Public Sector Commission, which councillors should consider when accepting or declining a gift or putting on functions, events and providing gifts to external stakeholders. For transparency, the policy also allows for a nominal amount council spends on a gift at the end of a mayoral term, so it's $150, and at the end of the deputy mayoral term, which is $50. That nominal amount is in addition to the personalised memento album that will be presented to the Mayor and Deputy Mayor. At the end of the 4-year council term, the policy also allows for the council administration that they may pay for a $100 gift for each individual councillor for their service over the 4-year period. Thank you.
Thank you. Administrators, do you have any questions relating to this item?
No questions, Chair.
No, Chair.
Jacinta, I've just got a question which relates to this item and the next one. It's just a general question that applies to the governance policies that we're considering. The policy footers indicate that the period for review will be 4 years. I presume that there's provision for earlier review as required.
Thank you, Chair. That is correct. So at any time throughout the 4-year term of the councillor, they can ask for any of the policies to be reviewed.
Thank you. Any further questions? No? Could I then have a mover and seconder for item 5.7, officer recommendation?
Happy to move, Chair.
Thank you, Administrator Duncan.
And I'm happy to second it, Chair.
Thank you, Administrator Zara. Administrator Duncan?
No, Chair. It's administrative and about transparency for all. Thank you.
Administrator Zara?
Another important part of the governance suite that we're endorsing today, which we're comprehensively doing, in particular in thinking about the return to elected councillors in the future and setting a high standard for ourselves and obviously for future councils. As I said at the last council meeting, Chair, when it was just myself and Administrator Duncan in attendance, people in the community rightfully expect the very high standards of everyone who has the honour of serving in council, and we know that at times there's been failures and breaches in terms of exactly the type of policy that we're endorsing and adopting tonight. So it's for good reason that we take good care and attention to make sure that we've got strong policies in place in this domain, and I think what's in front of us tonight and what we're going to endorse is something that will hold City of Whittlesea, I think, in good stead as it deals with all manner of issues that this will apply to in the years ahead.
Well said, Administrator Zara. I'll now put that motion to a vote. All those in favour? The motion is carried. Item 5.8, Councillor Expense, Reimbursement and Support Policy. And again, if I could invite you to briefly speak to this item.
Thank you, Chair. Through you, Section 41 of the Local Government Act requires Council to adopt and maintain an expense policy in relation to reimbursements and out-of-pocket expenses for councillors. So in preparation for the return of councillors, we've reviewed the existing policy and replacing it with this policy tonight. The policy at a high level outlines information around the IT support and equipment that will be provided to councillors, the requirements for interstate and international travel by councillors, the process for claiming reimbursements for out-of-pocket expenses when on official council duties, an amount per councillor per year for training and development, and the requirement for there be no mayoral vehicle appointed during the 4-year term. So officers are recommending the policy be adopted this evening, and like previously stated, at any time throughout the 4-year term of the council that they can ask for that to be reviewed.
Thank you. Administrators, any questions relating to this item?
No questions, Chair.
I have no questions either. So do I have a mover for this item?
I move as follows, Chair. That Council, with the removal of clause 13.1.3, endorse the council expense, reimbursement and support policy at attachment 1.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder for?
Yes, Chair.
Thank you, Administrator Duncan. Administrator Zara.
Thank you, Chair. This is another important policy in our governance suite and as important as any of the others. I think it is really important in everything we do to be putting in place the types of policies and documents of this nature that will be really sort of bringing to life the expectations that the public has of us. I think this is a document that does that and it is interpretable and something which will be a real benefit to the new council in particular, and obviously ourselves for the duration of the period that we have the honour of serving as administrators here at the City of Whittlesea.
Thank you, Administrator Zara. Administrator Duncan. Could I just echo Administrator Zara's comments just about the importance of accountability and transparency in relation to all our governance policies, but also just say that this policy and the previous one, but if I speak just to this item, is very clear in relation to what the actual provisions are, what the expectations are. There's no ambiguity in intent or meaning. And so I think they provide really strong guidance for councillors into the future and obviously ourselves in the interim in relation to a number of really important provisions regarding expenses, reimbursement and the support that reasonably can be provided. So I strongly support the development of these policies. I'll now put that motion to a vote. All those in favour? The motion is carried. Thank you. Item 5.9, Instrument of Appointment and Authorisation under the Planning and Environment Act 1987. And again, Jacinta, if I could invite you to introduce this item.
Thank you, and through you, Chair. Just quickly, this report seeks Council to confer authorisation to new Council officers to enable the administration and enforcement of the Planning and Environment Act 1987 and carry out the functions outlined in Section 313 of the Local Government Act, for example, to recover any monies owed to Council. The authorisation being sought this evening is an administrative process by the Council allowing staff to perform their duties. Thank you.
Thank you. Administrators, any questions in relation to item 5.9? No, Chair. I also have no questions. So do I have a mover for the officer recommendation?
Happy to move it, Chair.
Thank you, Administrator Zara. And a seconder?
Seconded, Chair.
Thank you, Administrator Duncan. Administrator Zara?
This is very largely administrative, as we all know, Chair, so no further comments from me.
Thank you, Administrator Zara. Administrator Duncan?
No, Chair, I've got nothing to add to this. Thank you.
I'll now put that motion to a vote. All those in favour? The motion is carried. I note that we have no notices of motion. Administrators, are there any items of urgent business that you have this evening?
None, Chair.
No, Chair.
I also have none. So if we move on to item 8, reports of council representatives and the CEO, update. And Administrator Duncan, if I could invite you to provide an update to both the council and members of the public.
Thank you, Chair. We held our last council meeting at the Gallaudet Community Centre, but had a community event prior to that, which was just fantastic. So thank you to everyone that came along to that. I attended coffee with council with my colleague, Administrator Zara in Bundoora. And then obviously today we had the sod turn at the Aboriginal gathering place. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Administrator Duncan. Are there any questions of Administrator Duncan? No, I have none either. So, Administrator Zara, could I also invite you to provide any report that you would like to?
Thank you, Chair. I won't repeat the ones that myself and Administrator Duncan have attended together. And obviously yourself and I, Chair, have been to the Audit and Risk meeting of City of Whittlesea, along with all of our excellent independent members who contribute so much in that committee. And nothing else to add, Chair. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. I've got no questions, and I know that Administrator Duncan doesn't. So if I could just also provide a quick update in relation to a number of events that I attended, but again, I won't echo the ones that I have attended with my colleagues. I had the great pleasure of going to the Whittlesea Agricultural Show and presenting the City of Whittlesea trophy on the Sunday, and it was a really incredible event with tens of thousands of people in attendance. So, as I indicated earlier in the acknowledgement section, there was something at the show for everyone. It was really a wonderful event. I attended alongside our CEO and our Director of Community Wellbeing the Mernda Social Support Facility opening, and we had the member for Yan Yean, Lauren Cathergy, in attendance, and it's a really wonderful facility in Mernda. And I also had the pleasure of presenting on behalf of the City of Whittlesea a wreath at the Remembrance Day service at the Epping RSL sub-branch. And then finally, the only other thing I would note is, along with our Community Wellbeing Director, I had the pleasure of being a judge for the annual art exhibition and also attending the opening night and the announcements regarding some of the wonderful artwork that we currently have in the Great Hall. Happy to respond to any questions anyone might have. So could I ask our CEO to provide an update to both the Council and to members of the public?
Thank you, Chair. Last week, with Council's Director of Planning and Development, I attended the National Growth Areas Alliance 2023 Parliamentary Showcase in Canberra. The Honourable Catherine King MP, the Minister for Infrastructure, Transport and Local Government, addressed the NGAA members on infrastructure projects, and that was followed by a presentation on growth area priorities. It was a good opportunity to connect with growth area MPs, relevant senators, crossbenchers and advisors to discuss the challenges facing our region. I was also pleased to hear at that event that the federal government's commitment to building an intermodal freight terminal in our municipality at Beveridge, bringing a large number of jobs to our community, is proceeding as planned. I'm delighted to report that the City of Whittlesea has received 2 commendations at the Victorian Planning Institute of Australia 2023 Awards for Planning Excellence recently. The first commendation was received in the Planning with Country category for the Stony Rises protection on the Victorian Volcanic Plain. The second commendation was received in the Strategic Planning Project category for the Green Wedge Management Plan. These 2 major and complex projects will have a lasting positive cultural, social, environmental and economic impacts for our land and community. It's important to note the exemplar partnership with the traditional owners in both these projects. Congratulations to everyone that was involved, a well-deserved result and great recognition for our fantastic planning staff as well. In more award news, I'd also like to congratulate the City of Whittlesea's Best Start program for their participation in the Darebin Best Start Aboriginal Reference Group. The reference group was recently honoured by the Victorian Government's Early Years Awards for outstanding collaborative community partnerships, as announced by the Minister for Children on the 9th of November. In their commitment to ensuring Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander children have the best possible start at school, the reference group developed a series of videos for Mob, by Mob, specifically designed to enhance enrolment in early start kindergarten for their community. I'd particularly like to express gratitude to Council Officer Auntie Sharon, whose invaluable contribution in her Best Start role has been instrumental to the success of that initiative. A couple of engagements underway. We're currently consulting with our community ahead of creating a concept plan for a new splash park and upgraded play space at Hilltop Park in Doreen. In addition to a new playground and splash park, the plan also proposes new public toilets, an extended car park, landscaping and new lighting, with information available on our website at engage.whittlesea.vic.gov.au. And finally, we're currently surveying a random sample of residents to help us better understand our City of Whittlesea community. The survey asks about participation in local activities and how people will go about their daily life in the City of Whittlesea. The results will help us to plan for current and future needs of our community. If you receive an invitation to participate via email, text message or post, I would encourage you to take part if you can. You can also complete the survey in the language of your choice. Again, more information on Council's website. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Craig. And could I just ask you to pass on congratulations of administrators in relation to the commendations and various awards that have been received. Excellent news. Are there any questions of our CEO?
Yes, Chair. Just wondering, Craig, what's the proposed start date for the BIFT?
So there's yet to be a scheduled date. My understanding is that early discussions are occurring between the Intermodal Freight Company and the Victorian State Government at this stage around what the planning arrangements will be. So we expect to know what that plan is and what timescale is proposed early in the new calendar year.
Thank you.
Any further questions?
No questions, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. I note that all of our verbal reports will be documented in the minutes. We've got no confidential business this evening, so that brings us to the end of the meeting, and therefore I declare the meeting closed at 7:41 p.m. Thank you.